We will call the Benefits and Insurance Committee meeting of December 19th, 2024 to order. Susan, will you call the roll, please, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Boyd. Amber Brown. Here. Mike Curtis.
Here.
Holly Deering. Here. Brian Gaither. Here. Mary Hickerson. Lois Miller. Here. Commissioner McAdoo. Here. Commissioner Phillips. Present. Jennifer Schmidt. Here. Michael Smith. Steve Spence. Here. Sonia Stevenson. Here. Eric Tutobeni.
Thank you. It looks like we have a quorum. Mr. Elam, normally the vice chair reviews the minutes, and I think yes. Yeah, Ms. Miller, we talked about this, and I knew we had, and I couldn't remember who offered to review the minutes. So if you had an opportunity to review the minutes. We have a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Do we have a second? We have second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes stand approved. No public comments, correct, Susan? Okay. Financials, Mr. Elam?
Yes, sir. For the calendar year 2024, the month of November, you have revenue $1,796,136. Expenses $1,746,016. Revenue less expenditures, a positive $50,120. For the calendar year totals, your revenue is $21,023,336. Expenditures $21,049,015. Revenue less expenditures a negative $25,679. And the total for the fiscal year, your revenue is $9,423,877. Expenditures $10,413,558. Revenue less expenditures a negative $989,682. For the 266 fund, workers' comp for the month of November, $879.36. OJI, $101,715.58. For the total month of November, $102,594.94. And the totals for the year, workers' comp, $5,336.49. OJI, $431,267.50. And for the total, year-to-date total, $436,603.99. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Elam. Any questions for Mr. Elam on the reports, please? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to accept. We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, without objection, Susan, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Amber Brown. Yes. Mike Curtis.
Yes.
Holly Deering. Yes. Brian Gaither. Yes. Lois Miller. Yes. Commissioner McAdoo. Yes. Commissioner Phillips. Yes. Jennifer Schmidt. Yes. Steve Spence. Yes. Sonia Stevenson.
Thank you. Item 5, the OSHA report. Susan, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. We're reporting on the month of November. Our incident frequency for November was 22. That brings our year-to-date total to 252, with total recordables being at 197, lost day claims 41, restricted day claims 131, and other recordables 25. The next page shows the 2024 as compared to 2013. 2024 was 252, 2023 was 217, and 2022 was 167. The next page is the incurred dollars. 2024 is at $1.695 million. 2023 was at $764,000. 2022, $599,000. The last page is the breakdown of the 22 claims. There's 14 at the Board of Ed, 8 at County General. Of the 8 at County General, we had 1 at EMS, 1 at Fire, 5 at the Sheriff's Department, 1 at Solid Waste. We added additional items the last month, so we've included that moving forward. The paid through the end of the reporting period on the current year's claims is $541,745. Of the 52 claims that we've had, 182 of those are closed. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Any questions for Ms. Thompson regarding the OSHA report? Ms. Stevenson, you're recognized.
I went to a meeting yesterday, and one of the topics they discussed was accidents, post-accidents, and those type things. And I was just wondering, they were discussing about how there's some things that we can do to prove, and y'all may be doing this already, I don't know, that's why I'm asking. When somebody has an accident, do you guys go out and investigate and determine if it was like, could have been prevented, and if so, like, is there any, does the department that has the accidents, I mean, knock on wood, we've been blessed not to have an accident, so I don't know what that looks like, but does then the employee, like, do they get counseling or anything for creating an accident that could have been prevented, or?
So the supervisor fills out a statement as well, and they discuss with the employee what happened, what occurred, how did it occur, were they supposed to wear any safety equipment that they were not, were they doing anything that was inappropriate for that task, and then they report that to us. And then we also do a further investigation, request video if it's necessary or anything like that, and then the TPA also questions the employee, the supervisor, anybody else that needs to, and then we take corrective actions as needed.
Oh, okay, thank you. I thank goodness have not had an accident in HR, so I just didn't know what that looked like.
I have a question. What, boy, this is going to maybe get in the weeds. Sorry, Susan. What qualifies as an accident? So, and it's not a safety violation. It's when there's an injury? Is that what qualifies as an accident? What is the definition of an accident?
Well, we refer to them as incidents, not accidents, but
Thank you.
anything could be an incident. If they say that mopped the floor and didn't put a sign out, someone slipped and fell. It could be that.
So regardless of whether that person was injured or not, the fact that they fell would be considered an incident that you would then investigate. Is that correct?
Correct. And if they don't seek medical treatment, it's filed in our office as a report only, but all the same steps are taken to see if there was a safety concern or something that needs to be addressed to prevent it from further happening.
Perfect. Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, we've already got a motion. Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the OSHA report. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the report say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The report is accepted. Item number 6. Thank you, Susan. Item number 6, the wellness report. Ms. Howell, you're recognized.
The final numbers for the 23-24 point accumulation period are a total of 3,202 wellness points earned and 744 employees who earned all 3 of their wellness points. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for Ms. Howell? Seeing none, if there's no objection, we will accept and move to item 7, MyBenefits channel. Mr. Elam, do you want to introduce Mr. Smith for us, please?
Yes, Mr. James Smith is with MyBenefits channel. And what I wanted to bring before the committee today is right now we have the Motivate Me, My Cigna platform. Cigna is about to go make a change with that to go to Virgin Pulse. With the bids coming out with Cigna and the carrier, the renewal being 1/1 of 27, if we changed again our TPA, then the issue would be is you're having 2 different wellness programs at the same, changing 2 years in a row. We also wanted to look at how we can make this program more catered to Rutherford County and Rutherford County employees. So an example of that would be the health needs at the highway department being outside and exposed to the sun and things. You might want to do additional training and address some optional ideas for additional points. Where in my office, it more be because of having to sit in a chair a lot. So I talked to Mr. Smith about this, and trying to come up with just a little bit of a template here. This is not what we are presenting to you, is this is what we have made the decision. He's got a program that we can customize this for Rutherford County. It's already, MyBenefits channel is already embedded into Rutherford County's payroll and stuff like that. So we can look at this. I wanted to get some feedback, what you thought as far as optional things, points, and then also the rewards. And we will come back to you later after getting some feedback, run with this, and then come back with some type of a plan after we've reached out to different departments and see what their interest is. But the main thing with this one is not just cookie cut. It gives us a lot of options within the county, and for not only within each department, but within a lot of different age groups. So,
Mr. Smith, if you will introduce yourself and identify who you're with and your position, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
With MyBenefits channel. I want to thank the Benefits and Insurance Committee for allowing me to have some time today, and Mayor Carr. So hello, everybody. I think that wellness is interesting from a lot of different viewpoints. One is, if you survey people and you say, what is wellness? You know, what is wellness? What is wellness? It can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, right? So it's a very broad topic with a lot of different potential meanings to people. Some people really gravitate toward it, other people not so much so. So how do we fit the bill and try to accommodate as many people as possible? So that's the overarching thought process that we were having, is trying to, you know, find a way to make it simple and easy, maybe bring some fun to it at some point, but, you know, cover as many people and their spouses and families as possible, you know, to help them through this wellness journey. A lot of you know who we are on MyBenefits channel. A lot of you do not know who we are, but we do work with both the county and the school system here. As a matter of fact, we work with about 230 public entity customers across the state of Tennessee, and then more across the country. But we're from Tennessee here in Franklin, and I'm a Tennessee boy, and go Vols, you know, so that's a little bit about who we are. But we do everything from like your hiring and your recruiting, you know, electronic onboarding, and we have HR, and we do employee benefits, your admin platform, and we do a lot of other things. But my personal passion if you look at the wheel, you know, we call it the employee life cycle. It starts at 12 o'clock when you're hiring somebody or recruiting somebody, and goes all the way to the time they retire or they're terminated on an offboarding. But wellness has always been a personal passion of mine, you know, me trying to think about how can I help as many people as possible. And this is one of those areas that I really enjoy working in, so I appreciate the opportunity to be here. But we do a lot of these things for you guys, just as a high-level overview. And hold on, there we go. My computer's running a little slow, so I apologize for that. And then, you know, part of what our job is to integrate data. So, for example, with you know, various things that we do, we need integration back to payroll, like with Local Government Corp as an example. Or with BenAdmin, we integrate that out to the various insurance companies that you're working with, and TPAs and COBRA providers and so on and so forth. So wellness really works in the same way. I think, you know, one of the first things I want to say about you know, our wellness program is the fact that this is customizable. We have a lot of capabilities in the wellness arena, but what we thought after talking with Ed was that probably the best place to start is as close to where you are today as possible. One of the unique things about the plan is it's got a lot of flexibility. So we wanted to address where they are today. I heard around 700 and something people participated. That's a really good number. And so how do we increase that number. Obviously, there's some things that they're liking about it, so let's keep that in place and let's add some new options. The way they will get access to these options is through MyBenefits Channel's portal. A lot of you probably have already gone there, but it's a 24/7 access, secure, and employees and managers and various employees are already going there, so that's an advantage to it. Another advantage to it is the fact that we are independent. We work for you guys, so if you change from provider, say Cigna to a TPA or a TPA to someplace else, those changes can occur and we can stay in place, still in the same username and password, where the employees are getting their benefits information and enrolling. They're getting onboarding or various things that you guys are using or will be using in the future. And I think that brings a lot of power from both an employee being familiar with how a portal is operating, and the more familiar and more comfortable they are with that software, the more likely they are to use it, including your wellness types, tools, and services. So when we look at wellness, if you look at our life cycle wheel, you're going to be kind of down in that wellness section when you think about who we are. And then when you get into wellness, we have a lot of different options. We have all kinds of tools and services around pre-screening and get ready for, like, if you're going to do screenings and things of that nature. These are where nurses come and they do blood draws and they have one-on-one conversations with your employees about various topics or things like that. Post-screening, afterward, collecting the data results. We have all kinds of tools there. But where we're at today is talking about our wellness plan. We also have wellness events. A wellness event would be like a 10,000-step challenge, where your employees can form teams and then they can, go through like a 6-week program of where they're all working together as teams and seeing how many steps they can get. And, it's private. We keep the information private, like a Biggest Loser challenge as an example, right? And we can communicate that, track it, do the reporting, and do all the heavy lifting. So that would be something, as I said, in the future that you would potentially might want to grow into. If I don't narrow the focus some, then it becomes overwhelming because, as we said, as I started out, wellness can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So, just bringing it all down, I think we've created an option. I'm not saying it's what you need to do or what you got to do, but I think it's a good first step in this process. I want to stay focused on the fact that this is customized and personalized as needed to your employees. There'll be a participant wellness portal within MyBenefits channel, so they'll just click the wellness section within the portal and then go right in, and it will know who they are, and it'll know exactly how many credits they've earned and what they've done, and show them all the options of what they can do. But, these various services, we have a staff, that can help build out, creating these things, tracking these things, and reporting on these things. And I think that takes a lot of workload off of your staff as far as your benefits or whomever is having to do that workload today. And I think that, there's a lot of integration capabilities that can make this a better mousetrap, if you will, or a better oiled machine. So today you have, I'm not an expert on your current plan, so if I say something, I apologize if it's not exactly right, but the Motivate Me Wellness Program is really focused around getting some type of an exam for the employee and or the spouse. We'll just call them participants, okay? And so if the participant goes and gets an annual exam, that's kind of the foundational piece. Then they get 2 earned points for that. And then they have to just get one other point, by getting a biometric screening or a mammogram or OB visit or, some of these various options, flu shots, what have you, to earn another point to get their reward. Obviously, the rewards can change as budget needs change. Ours is the same way. We have points, credits, if you will, And I'm going to show you a couple of suggestions. But again, it's just a suggestion. If we needed to rescale our point system to something different, we can certainly do it. But what I'm proposing is that you keep your current options. So all the existing screening options, because you did have 700 plus folks participate, so obviously some things are working there. Let's not change that. It's not broke. Let's not fix it. But one of the other things, when you start thinking about gender, you start thinking about age, as an example. Some things are not really available for a younger person. When you're a certain age, you don't need colonoscopies, and right? So what's age appropriate? What's gender appropriate? To make this more well balanced, because giving people more options, quality options, I think then gets participation and gets employees more excited about the program. So what are we talking about? We're adding more screening options. So like, for example, getting your teeth cleaned twice a year, getting a vision exam, right? Those things could earn credits that goes toward that reward as well. So if you're somebody, because both of those are very important. We all know the importance of keeping your teeth clean, and good oral hygiene also improves your overall health, which reduces claims. Also, having online educational courses. These courses can be employee-specific based on their risk factors, or it can be just general education that they want to seek out within the online list of courses, which are many, and or completing an online health assessment, which is private. It's not shared with the county. It's not shared with insurance companies. But what happens when they take that online health assessment, it looks at their lifestyle factors. It helps analyze various potential risks or educational needs, and then it will create a customized recommended list of online education to address those things. So maybe it's stress management that they need. Maybe it is getting their physicals, or maybe blood pressure management or things of that nature, right? So the system has what's called a healthy lifestyle engine. And if the employee chooses to voluntarily do that, or there was biometric screening data coming from an outside source, then the Healthy Lifestyle Engine is going to look at that, and it's going to make specific recommendations on various wellness activities for those employees. But it's optional, and so the employees get to do whatever they feel comfortable with. I think that having a wide variety of options here, not too many, but enough to kind of give more balance to the age, gender, and also multi-departmental needs that are out there. Some department, they have access to computers. They're in front of the computer all day long. Where other departments, maybe those employees are handicapped to a certain degree because they don't have as much time in front of a computer, to do some of these other types of events. So that is the overall approach, is to try to give it a good balance and be fair to everybody. So right now, the employees, this is my understanding of it, the employees and spouses are required to have that annual exam to get those 2 points. And I think that that would be the foundational of what we would call a required activity, right? So what is that versus an elective activity? So required activity says, in order to earn the reward, you have to do this thing or these things in order to be able to qualify, generally speaking. And then you earn so many points in the required activity, but you have to do that one thing. If you do that, then you can get additional rewards if you get so many points from the elective or recommended activities, right? They can pick whatever they want to do or they don't want to do. So in this particular case, Ed and I talked about it, and again, it depends on the budget, depends on what you guys want to do. All this is completely customizable. But let's just say, for today's topic, that it would be $200 if you get your required annual physical. You get $200 per plan year. And employees who complete the required exams are then eligible to earn these additional rewards by participating in these elective wellness activities. So it's pretty clean and pretty simple. The proposed elective activities. So the points that you're going to see, I'm going to show you the actual portal and what it looks like. I think it's going to be very simple when you see it, in the portal. But we have had a general philosophy that people look at things from a time perspective. I don't have time to go get my teeth cleaned, or I do have time. How much time is that going to take, right? So wellness, we've always approached, while this is customizable, we've said the most fair way to do is if you're online and you take an educational course, and let's say it takes approximately 15 minutes to do that, well, maybe that could be the foundation to say that's 15 credits, right, toward whatever the requirement is. Or if it's a 60-minute activity, say I go get my teeth cleaned, it generally takes about an hour for me to go do that and get my teeth cleaned. So therefore, I get 60 credits. So the more I do, the more time I invest, or my spouse invests, the more credits that I earn. So these activities are estimates and rounded. Nobody's having to monitor their time, so that's one thing that can get people confused. Oh, I've got to clock in and clock out, or what are you talking about here, James? What I'm saying is we sat down and we look at the various activities and we come up with a fair estimate for that, and that's how many credits that it is. So it's not a flexible type thing, where anybody has to clock in or clock out. If an employee who completes their physical and then gets at least another 60 elective credits, then they can earn up to another $200 in rewards. So if you do your required exam, that's 200 plus another potential 200 in electives for a total of 400. It could be 150 and 150, or it could be whatever you guys would like for that to be. So let's take a look at the actual portal here. One of the things, too, is MyBenefits channel is getting a facelift, if you want to call it that. And so you're going to see a whole new look, feel. It's going to be coming out around March of this year. And it's very mobile responsive design. Some of our newer things, are already transferred over. The wellness is the one that we're working on now, but you should start seeing this new modern look to MyBenefits channel wellness in March. So this is what I wanted to show you is what we call the wellness activity, or basically it's your reward center. And I'm going to close these areas just to kind of let you get a bigger picture view. But we break this down, the system breaks it down into a category. Employees can sort by priority or things that are coming due. So we can have due dates on this. Overall, for this plan, there would be one due date, and that would be you got to get these things done by the end of 2025. So let's call it December the 31st of 25 is the due date. But they could do it the first week of January if they wanted. Our system, could then track that and provide those credits. We'd have group-sponsored activities, health assessment, preventative activities, and wellness education. So we talked about, wellness education, that there's a lot of different types of options here. And so I had taken just kind of a general health assessment here, and give it some information. And based on that, the answers of how I answered that, these are what's called recommended educational courses. So talking about flu shots. So you can take the course. It's very simple, for the employees to navigate through this. They have a little quiz, those quiz answers are actually randomized between employees, and that keeps them from kind of cheating off each other, if you will. Not that anybody would ever do that, but if they were to try to, then we have a little bit of technology there to help prevent that from occurring. So this list of wellness, the last thing I want to say on wellness education, these things like blood pressure and blood glucose and what have you, those things can also be customized based off of wellness claims and areas where you're trying to target helping to reduce those claims through an educational process. So we can load any type of wellness course in here. It doesn't have to be just the ones that are pre-built in our system. It could be even, on the job, like, for example, with a lot of schools, we do hazmat, slip and fall, ladder safety. We have all kinds of different types of courses. And so, there's ones that we've already built, but, just understand that if you had your folks working out in the field and sunscreen protection, and how does the county handle that, and what is your recommendations? So there's a lot of customizations that could occur. The main area, the group-sponsored activities area, I'm going to open them all up just so you can kind of see, and I've got my page kind of enlarged here, but you can start to see this would be the view of the employee. The employee would see, okay, if they've already met credits, then we can go ahead and give them credits for that. So our system has the capability of applying those credits and marking it as something that they've already completed. But they can do the lifestyle management programs, the chronic conditioning coaching. This is where I was saying, let's keep it as close to what you're doing as possible now. This is where I was talking about the online health assessment. If they click that, it takes them straight into the health assessment. And you can see that's where I'd already completed that. I earned 30 credits because it takes about 30 minutes to complete it. And we're being generous. Some of these things doesn't take as long, but we want to be fair and level about it all. So here's the prevention activities. I can get my teeth cleaning. If I do that, I put in the name and the provider and the date that I got it done, and I certify that I did it. It's like Grandma said, locks only keep an honest man honest. If somebody wants to cheat, I'm sure they'll find a way, but we want to keep it nice and simple for everybody as well. Yeah. Here's flu shots, annual vision exam, biometric screenings, cervical cancer screenings, mammograms, and these are the ones that we pulled, from your existing list of things that the employees currently have as options. And we can add to this list. We can reduce the list. It's totally customizable in that way as well. And then you can see, this is the actual employee view. They can also see the due date. They can see the credits, and they can see whether they've earned the credits or not earned the credits. And then this turns into a nice, clean report that we provide, to accounting, to make it easy for everybody to track it. We have a variety of tools, health topic tools, know your number. If they want the elective type education, maybe that they're interested in blood glucose. So we have a wide variety of different courses that they can take. You can see how the credits are changing. Some of these, it takes about 10 minutes to do the course. Others are a little longer. So they get a little bit more in the realm of total points. So if they wanted to, they could come in and just do these educational courses to earn those elective credits. But they still have to do that annual physical in order to, that's the requirement in order for them to be qualified to participate in some of these other types of elective activities. With that said, I will open it up for questions.
Curtis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under the, slide down on your example here. Your prevention activities, how do you verify that those are complete?
Well, so we have several different ways of doing it. We could have an insurance company that has claims data, and then we can get that file and then verify it that way, and then import the data into MyBenefits channel, and then it will give them the credits from that aspect. I don't know, like on the dental, and I'm not certain exactly how Cigna is handling that today, but on the routine physical as the primary, I would think that we would get that data from Cigna because it is your primary requirement, and they would give us a file feed, but that would have to be verified. The other option is that we have this provider information that they fill out right here, and they certify that it's correct, and then we've had some employers who say we may randomly audit these to verify that this actually happened, and the employee signs a release, to allow somebody to double check that they actually did do it. I'll say one of the things that I've learned about wellness is that we have a 10,000 step challenge, and I used to get real particular about, did they really walk that many steps? Because we got pedometers, we got all this stuff to track them, are they cheating? And what I learned over the years was that people who are cheaters, they're also lazy, and after a while they get busy, and they just don't want to fool with it at all after some point in time. So, there's 3 different levels there, of verification. Come from a provider, or self-certify with a potential auditing risk. So it just depends on how far down the rabbit hole you want to go.
Ms. Brown, you're recognized. Mr. Smith, I'm not sure why the timer's going off, but you're fine.
I thought I got a right answer, so I got bonus points. See? There we go.
Mike, do we know how to disconnect that?
It's 3 minutes, but that's all
See if there's a. That's fine. We're fine, Mike. Forgive us.
no problem at all.
Ms. Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you. I have a couple different questions. One, do we have something like this in place right now, Ed?
Yes.
I feel like you did say that, because what I think about with technology is, as you mentioned that before, we do have some employees who are at the computer, very technically savvy, but we also have employees who aren't. And I think about how robust this is, and when people need help and assistance, what resources are offered for that.
So that would be, our goal is to take as much off of Rutherford County staff as possible. We have a toll-free number, and so the employees can call our toll-free number Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and we can help them with questions that they might have. We do have educational materials at the beginning that can be distributed. Those can be available as a print, but we try to keep it super simple. A lot of them will already be registered in MyBenefits channel. Typically, what we find the most confusion with is just the registration process. And so because they're already registered, just like setting up their name and their username and password and stuff like that. But so we try to do the bulk of the heavy lift on that, and then we'll take Ed's team and provide them an additional level of education so that if they happen to call in, or maybe even Sonia's office, where it's just general information, to kind of help them get over the hump. One of the things that happens when they first log in is there's a plan tutorial, and it kind of walks them through step by step how the plan operates, and then there's like little links in there that helps them navigate. But what you'll find is in the portal, my portal that I have here is like a demo portal, so it's got everything turned on in the world, but we keep it really, when an employee logs in or an administrator logs in, all they see is what they're supposed to see. It's personalized to each one of those employees.
Thank you, because that was the thought I had. I'm like, this would be really overwhelming if I immediately log in and it's this much information. But
Yeah.
no, that's perfect. And then we already have something in place now, so this may not even be something of a future challenge or issue. So thank you for
Yes, ma'am.
explaining that.
Mr. Chairman, also, like if you had the highway department, solid waste, maintenance department, where they all meet together at the beginning of the day, you can do a sign-in sheet, you can do a meeting with everybody there, and then he can upload that spreadsheet into giving them credits to where, each department, depending on what certain wellness emphasis they want to put on it. And you can do it throughout, and that would get them those extra points throughout the year just by having those shift meetings or beginning of the day meetings. And it's, from what you've explained to me, it's very easy to upload and just put it in their points.
Yeah, we have some templates in Excel, basically, and we just import the data in. I'll give you a couple examples of it. Our biggest wellness customer is the County of Los Angeles, so they have about 120,000 eligible employees plus spouses, right? Not all of them participate in the wellness. It's kind of like not everybody participates in yours, but there's 4 different insurance companies, and every one of those insurance companies think they're kind of the king of the whole thing, you know. So we have to play in the middle. But what happens is with their credits, it's similar to what you're talking about. You know, if you put too much on the employees, they get confused. Confused employees don't participate, right? So we got to try to keep it as simple as possible. But they'll in this list, like these group-sponsored activities, the carriers come to us and they say, hey, we're going to do 20 webinars, 20 educational webinars on, you know, like eating healthy, as an example, or stopping smoking. And these are live webinars where they have maybe a local healthcare system, you know, that provides online education in these webinars. And so what we do with those, the employees see them, they know what the date is, they click from here and it takes them over to that course, and they will watch the course. Well, you know, when you do a webinar, it creates a list of people who signed up and a list of people who actually attended. So they send us that attendee list, and then we just import that data, and then it comes right back to this, you know, area where that webinar is listed, and then they see that they attended and they see the credits they earned and when the date that occurred. So it makes it very simple, you know, in that way. But they also do lunch and learns. Well, since COVID, not as many, but the people will come in to a central location for a lunch and learn. And so I think Ed's example of, you know, maybe the road department people having a meeting and they're talking about sunscreen and skin protection, or, you know, something like that. That could be a qualified event that goes in here as well. And they just turn in that list, and then we upload the list of who attended, and they get the credits.
Ms. Stevenson, you're recognized.
I want to make sure, I think I understand, this would take place of our existing program, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that would be the first question. And then you have where you can get additional credits. Is there a cap to a person can get of additional credits? Like, so for example, if you looked at the proposed elective activities and you say, okay, it's required, the annual physical is required, so that's 200 credits. But then you go into the elective section, which is all the stuff that he's been showing, and you can get like 60 credits or 10 credits. Is there, suppose somebody was overly zealous and every day on their lunch they watched one of your webinars that was 10 or 15 credits, would there be a cap as to the number of credits they could earn? Or have you thought about that?
That is a yes and a no question. So, again, all this is customizable, but I was trying to just keep it as close to what you're doing today as possible. So that's why we had the required physical, and then you can do additional things, but if you earn at least 60 elective credits, then you get this additional reward. The employees are not capped, though, because they can go in and use the portal as much as they want throughout the year. And then if it's a spouse, to protect their privacy as well, they have their own login to that portal, but it's personalized to the spouse. So the spouse is only seeing there's, like, if you were my spouse, then you and I wouldn't share the same portal because I might not want you to know something about me and vice versa, right? That's the world we live in. So we keep them separated, but they can go in and continue to use the portal throughout the year. And this, a good example of that is, like, we have a lot of people that use the step tracker and, and pedometers and stuff like that. And so they're in there, continuing to load even after the event. So like if we do a 6-week walking program, then we leave the portal open and all the resources and educational resources for the whole year. Not everybody will continue to go back to the portal all the time, but there are some people who like to go in there, and it kind of helps keep them motivated throughout the year. But once they reach the 60 credits, even though they may earn more credits or points, it doesn't really matter because, they hit the 60, then the maximum that they can earn is that additional $200 or whatever the amount is.
Okay, so you kind of did answer my question. So they get the 200 for the physical, they can get a max up to an additional $200 for the total of 4.
Yes, ma'am.
And, okay, so they can continue to do it, but the benefit is their better health. They've
Yes.
met your goal
That's
as
right.
it relates to this. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, will any of the stuff, and I'm not sure if it does it on our current program or not, whenever you go in, you take your health risk assessment yourself, where it's asking, your cholesterol levels, HDL, LDL, and all that. Will any of that stuff be pre-populated, or will they have to take their actual exam and to populate it themselves?
Well, that's a yes and a no, too. So if you have a wellness provider who's coming on site, as an example, to do health screenings, then we partner up with, we actually have tools to help those hospitals and wellness companies automate that process, because it can upload and provide a risk factors report at the point of service, so that the employees can take that to their doctor and talk about, the cholesterol problem, say from a finger prick, as an example. So if you had a screening like that, or the data came from somewhere else, I don't know where it might be, then that data, like some of that data is actually, the tools themselves are actually built into MyBenefits channel for wellness companies that are using our wellness platform as screeners, right? But we can take a file import for that data, and if it does, if we do get it will pre-populate the health risk assessment. If we don't have the data from any place else, then the employee can actually load it while they're taking the health risk assessment, and it's junk in and junk out. The better quality data they give us and the more data they give us, the smarter the Healthy Lifestyle Engine is, and the better recommendation on various types of wellness activities that it recommends that they complete.
Yeah, that was why I was wondering if it was like automatically imported, because doctor's office now, you don't get a hard sheet like you used to, so they may not know, and then they may guess like, oh, numbers or skew the programs that they should be, or maybe they should be, but they're not.
Yeah. Yeah, and if they don't answer the question, or they just put a false number in there, it's going to go off of what they put into it. So we recommend they try to give as good, clean information and recent information as possible. Like, I just got my physical, and it's time for me to do my health risk assessment. So I'll go in there and in the patient portal for my doctor, I pull my numbers, and then as I'm taking the assessment, I just pull them over and put them in.
And were you or Mary the one talking about dental visits? It was you? Okay. So for one thing you'd want to be careful of is what you require, and I would keep that within the ACA where it's free, it's paid for. And then optionals is like if you go to the dentist and you're having to pay out of your pocket, those points and all would be optional. And there's 2 comments I wanted to make. And one is there's another layer to this, to where if you went to the 3rd level and you said if you go to the doctor, you do a health assessment, and you're staying within your cholesterol levels, you're staying within blood sugar levels and things, you can make a 3rd level for this. If you report, you're doing what you should after you go to the doctor, because the way we have it now, you can go to the doctor, but there's not a lot of follow-up to it. You went, you had it done, but if you're not trying to lower your cholesterol after the doctor's told you, there's really no motivation here other than you've already got your points. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I'm a believer that one part we really need to hone in on is the educational part. And that is with his library, or any type of a library, is that, you may have a smoker that's not ready to quit today, but they want to smoke, but then they start doing some educational pieces. They start looking at different webinars or something like that. And so you're trying to encourage them to get those optional points, but yet not everybody's a smoker, not everybody's overweight, not everybody has the same health needs that they want. So you would put a wide range of options out there, and then the people, according to their health needs at that time, would be able to go in there and pick those optional points based on what they need. Somebody, a very young person may not have the same health needs as somebody like an older person like myself. And you just want to them to be able to pick and choose based on their health needs and be educated, go through the educational part of it also. And, like a colonoscopy. Well, sometime you'd want them to be educated, like, okay, I'm at that age, let me figure it out. Instead of just Googling it, they also get some points for it. Because of the library having that information available.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Ed, at 29, you're not old. I stayed at 29, so
Yeah.
that works for me. I just stay right there.
So that was why I was asking if they got extra appointments, because whenever he was scrolling through the topics, I mean, there's some really good topics that I think people would look at and say, okay, on my lunch hour, I might do this. Just if those are some of the ones that we will be using, I could see how that would be beneficial. And those are also does this include the ones that we're getting from our current wellness coordinator as well? Are those included in that, or is that another layer or a different layer, where we're getting the webinars and they're doing them once a week?
Those can be added,
Yeah.
no problem.
I mean, that's the good thing about this. We can make it whatever we want. We can make it one layer required, or we can make it required and optional. We can do, the thing I like about it, we can do just about anything we want to with it. I just wanted to present it to the committee to see if you have some interest in it, to see if it's worth pursuing, and to make you aware also that, the Cigna program changes from Motivate Me to Virgin Pulse come 2026. So I figured like it was a good time for us to, explore our options.
Well, I think to that, a good example of that is the County of Los Angeles with there's Kaiser and United Healthcare and Cigna and one other one. I don't.
Aetna?
Aetna, maybe. Yeah, I think it is Aetna. Sorry, it's been a while since I've, been directly involved with it. But those carriers have those webinars or other types of things that they're putting out there, and we're organizing it. We're consolidating it all, in one place, which, as we said, is a thing that helps keep a barrier of entry, versus having all these different websites to go to. And then they send us that list. Well, those carriers also are tracking whether those employees have gotten physicals, annual exams, and they're sharing, yes, they did or they didn't. With the county, we also do all the rewards tracking and rewards fulfillment. So if they do, you can go to the County of Los Angeles' website and look up their wellness program, and we private label that, to them, but that's our technology in the background. But what we do in those for them is we give out, they give out $50 gift cards, right? And so we handle all that information from the various carriers, aggregate it, and then our system sends out the emails to the employees. They click a link. We do all the back-end connectivity with the credit card, with the card companies, and then they can pick from like 200 or 300 different cards. If they want a restaurant card or a Home Depot card, or they get to pick whichever one that they want. So it's easy for us to integrate data. Now sometimes the integration, what's that old saying? The view's not worth the climb. So you have to kind of balance that out. Say, well, what's that going to cost to build that integration? But some of these that we're talking about, that you're talking about with Cigna, that's really easy to do. That's not a heavy lift at all.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to say this. I love what you just presented, and I love it for a couple of reasons. One, because I think with the MyBenefits channel, it starts at the beginning with our employees now. When they get hired through the Smart Hire program with their application, and they roll over into MyBenefits channel to do their onboarding and then to do their benefits, in HR, we specifically are trying to put more items into MyBenefits channel, so it's kind of a one-stop for them, a lot of the self-service and all that. So adding this in, I think, drives the employees. That way they're familiar with the site already because they're doing their open enrollment through the same site. They're doing their, lots of other things. So in addition to what I think this will offer, I think also it being convenient and the employees, to your point, are they going to be afraid or not as comfortable going into the site? Well, they're already doing that. They're already having to do their onboarding. They're already having to do their change of address or their open enrollment. So they're already used to this system, and this just adds another layer. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, and we've had, to that point too, I meant to say this, I forgot, but we've had some school districts, you got bus drivers or, various people who, this is just not what they do on a day-to-day basis, work with computers. So they'll let them come into the bus terminal office or to central office. They have different places, and they're like, you come on in, sit down here, and we'll help you do it, right, if you need some help with it. So that depends just on how deep you want to go with, involving your management team, but it's not a very hard thing to do. And so we'll be happy to teach you what we've learned on how to make it as easy as possible for the employees and have good communication materials.
Mr. Chairman, Chairman Phillips, you're recognized.
Thank you. I'm sure there's a cost involved in this process, and no matter how good the program is, if the benefit that the county receives, and I'm not talking about employees, but the county, which is me, receives, how can we quantify the benefit versus the cost? Is there a way to do that? I want to know if we're paying $1 million for this and the return that we see is $50,000, I'm going to say the benefit is not worth the cost of that. Is there a way to quantify that?
Yeah, I think your broker's with Gallagher, and I think that Gallagher, they buy a volume, they get volume discount because they bring a lot of business to us. And I think that the level that we're talking about here is, I don't want to speak out of line, but I think it's pretty low, right, as far as the plan itself?
Yes, we're negotiating with Cigna and with Gallagher, hopefully to get it at no cost.
Yeah, so that's got a pretty good ROI right there. But
I agree with that, okay? Yeah. But I also know that nothing in life, in my mind, is free. But the deal is that I want to make sure that the benefit is there, and our employees are utilizing that benefit. And someone may have an issue. You mentioned cholesterol as an example. Someone may have an issue with that, and they do the work, but their cholesterol doesn't come down. I want to make sure that there are the benefit that we're receiving is somehow, some way quantifiable, not just in cost, but is it actually working, and are people using this? And I know it takes a while for any new benefit to be utilized, and I'm willing to spend whatever time it takes, but I just want to make sure that there are some measurements in there to make sure that, number one, the benefit is worth the cost, but our employees are receiving that benefit the way that they should.
Yes.
To me, it's important.
Well, Mr. Phillips, correct? Mr. Phillips, I consider wellness ROI the holy grail of wellness, right? Everybody's after it. Everybody's searching for it. I've watched company after company come up with all kinds of crazy ways I think, crazy. Some of them made a lot of sense, but really, it was just a bunch of gibberish at the end of the day, right? There are ways to do it. I don't want to get too deep in that rabbit hole because we could literally talk for probably an hour or two. But there's two types of plans recognized by the government. There's a participation plan, which is what you guys are doing. It's voluntary in nature. Employees don't have to do anything. And then there's what they call a standards-based program. The standards means just what it sounds like. There's a certain set of standards, and the employees either meet the standard within a range of a standard or they don't. If they meet the standard, then they either get a discount on their insurance or they get a bonus of some type for meeting the standard. Now, before people get too wound up about standards, typically the standards are able to be met by a lifestyle change or compliance with medication. So it's not putting them in, oh, well, the standard is you can't have cancer. That's not controllable, at least not in today's healthcare world. Maybe in the future it gets there. But we're talking about cholesterol, blood pressure. Let's just use those as an example. If my lifestyle changes still don't get me there, if I'm walking and eating better and not eating a bunch of salt and doing all the stuff I know I shouldn't that I love, because I'm from the South, right? Love brisket, so my cholesterol, it's not good. My blood pressure's not good. As a matter of fact, they got me on medicine a few years ago. That helped, but then now I've gotten older, I'm gonna have to take more medicine, But I'm taking it every day and I'm complying with that. And the result of it is my blood pressure is, kind of under control. Some days better than others. It's just part of being human, right? Those standards then, if you're meeting that like within a range because you're taking medicines or you're changing your lifestyle or doing both, then there's if it's 15% margin of, the standard or something like that can be set. Why is the standard so important? Because, glucose, these things that we can easily measure can also be easily quantified on a claims perspective from claims data. And those CPT codes and that claims data is easy to analyze what it is. Here's what it was when we started, and here's where it is 3 years down the road. And you can see the claim changes, right? You can see the prescription uses going up. You can see how many people started out within the standard and outside of the standard. And those plans you can actually measure or come to as close as you can of measuring an actual ROI, because who knows, did it really save the heart attack or not? We do know that it does, but when? And how big a heart attack was it, and what was the cost where they went to get the care, right? So I would like to, I could tell you all kinds of stuff, but I'm not going to. The last thing I'll say about it like this. When I was growing up, I looked at the globe as a kid, and I saw North America and South America, and I looked over here and I looked at Europe and Africa, and I was like, man, if you cut those things out, they just like fit together. That's weird. How did it do that? Years later, they figured out they really did fit together. There's plate tectonics that pulled them apart. Some things just make sense. Taking care of yourself and your family just makes sense. At some point, you're going to reap a benefit. It may be a small one or it may be a large one. Not taking care of yourself has a negative consequence. Some people get away with it, like George Burns, loved him. What was he, 94-year-old, smoked cigars all day like a freight train. Some people just get away with it, but I'm big on the ROI piece of this.
Quick follow-up, that everything that we've ever heard, especially for the last 50 years, plus years, smoking is bad for you. Are there situations in there to where when someone has an adverse habit that affects their health, is there penalizations in there or not? Or could there be additional rewards if me and my family don't smoke?
Yes, you can. We have So the first thing is, this plan does not have any kind of negative consequence to it, if your health or smoking or any of that. So I just want to make sure nobody misunderstands that and gets all excited, right? Because this is not one of those types of plans, but we can turn it into one of those plans, and we can do it in a carrot and a stick way, right? The carrot would be, you're going to get a reward if you participate and do this thing. The stick is, you're going to get penalized if you don't do this thing. And sometimes it's a combination of carrots and sticks that really win, because you don't want to just always give your kids the stick. You want to give your kids the carrots too, right? You got to do it with love, in other words. I think people are reasonable, but I also think people are very protective of their rights, to live their lives the way they want to. So it's a balance. Smoking, you can have a smoking certification. Yes, I certify that I don't smoke, and you can just go off the certification, or you can have them actually take a nicotine test, and then they have to, if they take the nicotine test and they pass that successfully, you can get the reward. So it's one of those rabbit hole situations. We can go as deep down as you want, but I think this plan, as far as what we're talking about, if you go too far, too quick, you're going to get a lot of negative pushback, so you have to kind of baby step it. It's like Grandma said, eat an elephant one bite at a time. Yes.
I have a question, and Ed or Molly might have to help me with this one. So currently, what we do is when people, can you turn that one off? Is that's what's causing me to do this? Just this one then. Anyway, so what we do currently is when people earn their points, they get a reduced premium rate. And so, but you're saying they can earn additional things now. So would the additional things be a direct credit back to the employee after they've achieved the certain part that we need them to achieve in order to get their reduced premium rate? Because we can't really be setting out 5 different levels of premiums based on how many points people get. So I just wondered how we were going to work that on how they were charged for their insurance premiums.
Yes, it would. I'd have to sit down and talk to Michael. I know he doesn't want to do gift cards and things like that, because then you have to keep up with, for $50, that's a lot of labor, charging taxes and adding it back in. And so that's one thing, we would work with the finance department to see what is the best route when we came back to the committee to see, do you do a discount in premiums? Do you do, bonuses to the employees, things like that?
In our system, we can do the tracking to set that up on the back end. We, like at the County of Los Angeles, we even do calculations if somebody's went over the threshold and, from a tax perspective, and that's part of the report that we give back to the county. So there's a lot of ways, to go about that particular one. This was just an example, and it's not what you have to do by no means, but I was just trying to keep it clean and simple, add more flexibility, and make it as easy for the employees as possible.
Any other questions for Mr. Smith? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Smith, for joining us.
I want to thank you for allowing me the time. I apologize for my passion, making my tongue slap my brains out just about it, talking too much, but I want to thank you and wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I wish the best to you and your family.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you very much. That takes us to item 8 on our agenda, other business. Is there any other business before the committee?
Well, I was just looking to see from the committee, not necessarily a formal vote, but do you want us to continue to pursue it, to look at some additional options here, and then get more specific with some plans and some ideas, get with finance, get with HR, and try to come up with something to come back to the committee later on with a recommendation?
Ed, let me ask you a question. Are you making a recommendation to the committee that we, the committee, receive a proposal for us to take an action on? Or I'm not sure what you're saying.
No, what you're presented today is just kind of a template.
Correct.
And then for us to go back and to look at, getting all these options that are out there and giving you more of a specific plan in working towards wellness and what those rewards would be and stuff like that in this program.
Would it help, because your office is developing an RFP to go back out, I think, end of January, sometime in February, correct? Does this have anything to do with the alignment of that RFP, or would it be in any way be beneficial as it relates to this committee taking such an action?
No, not at the moment.
I think it's good to move forward with it, and I think it's also good to put that in form of a motion for you to have some guidance. Everything that you just mentioned would be my motion to move forward with it.
All right.
Did you get that, Susan? Yes, there is. We have a motion from Chairman Phillips for whatever Ed just said. Do we have a second? We have a second from Ms. Brown. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. I think we could do a voice vote on that, can't we, Susan, since we're not spending money? Great, thank you. I want to make sure I'm following the rules. Now we're back to other business. Thank you, Chairman Phillips. Back to other business. Do we have any further questions or comments? Seeing none, our next meeting is January 30th, 2025. Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the year. This year has been a delight, absolutely, on my part to work with you. I know Ed and staff feel the same way. You guys do good work. So thank you very much. Merry Christmas and enjoy the rest of your year. We're adjourned.